Hello, everybody. It's Dina again, back with another author. And today I'm with Katherine Tatsuda, and she's in Ketchikan, Alaska. Like, how cool is that? Such a pretty place. And we're going to talk a little bit about her chapter, and then we're going to talk to you about how you can register for our launch event. It'll be a virtual event on February 22nd, and then how you can get the book and read everybody's chapter. So welcome, Katherine, and I hope you can give us a little overview about what you wrote about.
Yes, definitely. I am very excited to just even be a part of this project. I know that my story is just one of many, many, like 20, I think,
Mhm.
that are stories of resiliency and people turning significant loss and pain and using it for strength and good. So I'm just thankful to be able to be a part of this. So my story is very unique, and it's really a story of my family that goes back for 4 generations. And it's a story of my family and how they started a little grocery store back in 1916, and how, for 103 years or so, we carried on and fed our community in more ways than just selling food. And it talks about my growing up inside of that business, and then ultimately how I've worked on overcoming the loss of that giant legacy. Um, yeah, so that's in a nutshell, without talking too much. That's what it's about.
Yes, and it is a very unique story, and I think it has a lot of different aspects to it that I think people can um, glean different things out of without saying too much.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Definitely,
do.
definitely. It's, my great grandparents came over in the early 1900s from Japan. So they were Japanese immigrants and, making their way and working towards their American dream. And yeah, facing tremendous obstacles that people face in life, and then some that were uniquely theirs or because they were Japanese. And so, yeah, it's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you could have just written about your part of that and it would have been a great story, but it's really about the legacy of 100 years of everything, and it's really um, interesting. I think people enjoy reading it.
Yeah,
Um,
I hope so.
um, and I have another question for you, which is being part of this project and writing your own story down on paper so everyone can read it, and what that experience was like for you.
I've told this story, my family's story, a lot over the years, and like mostly just verbally and sharing it in different bits and pieces, but mostly just my family story, not so much my own personal story,
Mhm.
which is a lot of it's included into this chapter that's going to be in the book. And speaking and writing are very different things. And for me, speaking comes very easily, but writing takes me a lot more time and effort and energy. And doing this chapter was really actually really challenging for me to just to sit down and like actually put it all on paper, but in many ways there's some really emotional pieces in it that are still for me very 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 raw. Even if they're not as close to the surface, there's time has passed since some things happened. And so it was actually surprisingly emotional for me to write it, to put it out on paper, and then to be okay with saying, okay, this is going to get put into this book with all of these other incredible stories of resiliency, and it's going to be shared with the world. So there's a lot of, like, for me, there's some fear, vulnerability, and emotion that's been really tied to it.
Yeah, it's true. I think that part is true for everyone involved. Is some of them have written books, whole books by themselves, and some of them have never written anything for public consumption. And I think we've all had a similar journey because it's such personal stories.
Hmm.
We can always write things that are maybe fiction or maybe business stuff or maybe other things. But when you're talking about these stories that are in this book, they're very, very personal. And sometimes they're hard for us to write because we still need to process some of that. And then sometimes it's hard for us to write because we are struggling with saying it in the right way or because we don't know if we're ready to put it out to the world.
Yeah.
All of those things combined.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It took me, I don't know how many times I started it and then deleted it because it was like, oh no, this isn't right. Oh no, this isn't right. How am I going to share the story? And for me, because it's not just like my personal stories, but it really is so much also representative of my family, my great grandparents and my grandparents and my father and my mother, and how are they being represented, and just even there, that makes me emotional.
Yeah.
And being true to my own experiences, but also being respectful and loving, and recognizing um, yeah, the incredible legacy that was built over time by beautifully, perfectly flawed human beings, which is what we all are,
Yeah. That is
yeah.
very true. Very true. I think it's this um, just interviewing everybody has been really eye opening too because I've read everybody's chapters. I've heard a lot of the stories even from each of you before we started this project. And so it's still I read the chapters and I already know them and I already know the people and I'm still emotional about a lot of it. So I can't wait for people to read it
Yeah.
and to get their own takeaways from the book and from each person and how it can inspire and motivate someone else at a difficult time in their life and how it can help them maybe feel not alone and feel
Yeah.
like someone else has been through this or somebody said earlier today like I think my story is so hard and then I read some of the other ones and I'm like I must be a wimp because I can't believe what other people have gone through and stuff like that. And I think that is telling about how personal these stories are, and also that no matter what it is you're dealing with, it's not wimpy. It's all it's all real, and it's
Yeah.
all adversity, and it's all stuff that we need to learn how to process and deal with and move on. So I'm just excited.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm very excited too, and it's so easy. I know, for me, I can fall into that comparison trap, and we do that for all sorts of things, and that includes the hardships and the stress and the pain that we go through.
Mm, yeah.
And like my story is very, very, very different from other people's,
Mhm.
and but it is just as much a loss, and it was traumatic and it was painful and it was terrible, just as much as anybody else's. And I'm not doing myself any favors by comparing that to somebody.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So,
It's true. It's
yeah.
true. I think it's because, sometimes when we've been through something hard, we're so close to it that it's easy for us to say, "Oh, it was no big deal." But we have to let ourselves understand that it is a big deal
Yeah.
because what is not a big deal to me might be completely unfathomable to someone else.
Yeah.
So it's really a diverse group of people with very different stories and I know that it's going to touch people and save lives hopefully in the long run. um, and I want to just let everybody know that's listening is that all the proceeds from this book are going to go to the Realize Foundation, which is all about suicide prevention. And we believe that personal stories and authentic conversation and community is what is going to change the statistics of suicide, because whatever we've been doing for the last 50 years is not working. And there's lots of great tools and resources out there, but I think it's human connection that is really going to help solve this problem. And that's kind of our mission. So we hope you will join us. We're going to have a virtual event for our book launch on February 22nd. And there's an Eventbrite link that I will post below this video, and you can register for free and join us. It'll be probably about 60 to 90 minutes. It's not going to take up your whole day. So you can join us for a little while and learn a lot about all the authors and a little more about our foundation and what our mission is. So I have this weird light from the window on me, but I'm going to take us out of the feed for a minute and put up the graphic of the book launch so everybody can see that. And we hope to see you there. We hope that you can join us and read this book, or maybe you don't feel like you need the book, but maybe there's somebody in your life that really does need the book, and you can give them a copy or send them a link to Kindle or something like that. So yeah, we hope to see you there.